Hello, happy Friday, and good morning, everyone. And of course, there are some people that are listening right now. You have a good evening, you have a good afternoon, but for the most part, if you're here on the East Coast, which is quite frankly the best coast, sorry, it is in the AM, it is 10 a.m. And this, of course, is Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we got some incredible topics to get into, one of which is going to be a bit spicy. And of course, some people will equate it to being console worry when it's not. Sony has had a real terrible couple of weeks. This is coming off of probably one of the worst years in PlayStation history in 2023, followed by what appears to be a giant dump in 2024. Now, of course, you want to know what those things are. Well, I spent last night up until upwards of midnight writing the show, and I have a bullet point list that I will read for you verbatim to kind of push my point forward. Now, again, these are all facts, they're all researched. I have all the documents, and it's going to make a lot of sense once you hear it put down in a row in bullet points form. The second topic of the show, now this is for me just as exciting as the first one, is we have learned, thanks to Windows Central, that a group of forgers that are known not only to 343 Industries, but known within the Forge community are bringing, folks, a Helldivers 2 mode to Halo Infinite that is going to have a ton of stuff. Now, again, I have the bullet points ready to go for that as well. Very exciting. It's going to be called ODST Hell Jumpers. And it's going to have progression. It's going to have AI. It's going to have leveling up your weapons and everything. And it sounds dope AF. But today's show is a bit special on many levels because we have a pair. And when I say a pair, sometimes you wonder if they're enemies, because you should have heard what was happening in the background. Holy matrimony. I cannot believe it. But they're here together. And of course, I'm talking about, well, Ham Solo and Loke 7. Ham, we've been planning this for a while. I threw it out to you. You guys picked the date. You're here. Dude, how you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling pretty good. Look at this bozo about 2 windows up for me. This fool got a microphone on his PS5 right now. This dude a absolute fool. Look at him.
He loves his PS5. You really can't argue that. It's fine.
Hey, look, how that controller going, bro? You get that? Get
bite me, man. Bite me. All right. Bite me right in my ass.
He can't connect his controller back to his PS5. There ain't no button to do that.
I can't do it.
Oh,
it's not that I can't do it.
Is that right?
Well, listen.
Yeah, there's ancillary reasons, but this is not TSWS, right? So let Boom do his thing. Go ahead.
No. Listen, first of all, we're gonna have fun here. We're gonna have conversations. We're gonna have difference of opinions, which I think
fun.
Is
Why'd you bring Ham here if you want to have fun?
Already, folks, get ready. It's already off the rails, and we are 4 minutes in. Be prepared to do a lot of laughing. But of course, Ham, listen, brother, obviously it's great to have you here, but what we want to do ultimately is get exposure for your channel with Loke. You guys do an amazing show every week, and we want more people to subscribe. We want more people to tune in. And of course, that's what we will do here on this channel. Loke 7, all the way from Africa. Brother, it is great to have you here. Obviously, you are a big PlayStation fan, and that's nothing wrong with that because I love PlayStation. I'm enjoying the H out of Helldivers. How are you feeling this morning? And welcome to the program. This is the first time you're on one of my shows.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I am feeling terrible. This is one of the worst Fridays I've had in a couple of years. I'm one of those guys that says that if you can't be in a good mood on a Friday, there's no hope for you. Like, just give up on life in general. That's how I feel about people that are in a bad mood on Friday. I'm sick. I'm trying to negotiate, like you guys said, for a very important move, right?
Yes.
And everything's all over the place. I barely made it to the podcast, but I made it. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm not sure you're ever going to invite me back after we're done, but thanks for having me on for this first and maybe last time. I don't know. We'll see.
No, brother. Listen, again, difference of opinions matter. You're a gentleman, and obviously, I apologies for not having the greatest of Fridays because I think you're onto something. If you can't have a good attitude on a Friday, then you're really having a shitty day. There's no doubt about it.
But what, Loke, we got some news for you today. You and your PS5 are finna love what we got to talk about, bro.
Well,
it's gonna be a good time.
I mean,
it's a good time.
Look,
you better rub that PS5 back right now.
It's the issue is Sony. Sony might be in a bit of a pickle. Obviously, I think one of the most jarring things that we could look at for PlayStation, and this is confirmed through their fiscal announcements, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, that there is not a first-party AAA sequel coming until at least April of 2025. That means no Last of Us. That means no God of War. That means no Ghost of Tsushima 2. Pick your favorite brand. And maybe there is something new on the horizon. The problem is that so if Sony is not telling us, we obviously don't know. And no one in the industry is talking. Speaking of no one in the industry talking, I got words for Geoff Keighley, Mr. Game Awards himself. I have to put him on blast today. I don't normally enjoy doing that. I'm not enjoying doing it today, but I'm a bit disappointed with his lack of concern for the industry. As I've said before, and I'll stand on this square, folks, I have defended Geoff. I don't agree with a lot of his tactics. I think they're childlike. I think they're very console war-y. One of the things about Geoff that I find to be exciting as a creator myself is that he is supposed to be a diplomat to the industry. And when I say that, as a diplomat, you are supposed to extend your hand to the entire gaming circle. That includes PlayStation, that includes Nintendo, that includes Xbox, and of course, PC, mobile. Everyone is supposed to be welcomed in, but they're not. We obviously know where his tastes lie, and that's perfectly fine. But I have some evidence-based conversation that I'm going to bring to your attention, and I got to shout out Mr. Badbit, a major player in the PlayStation community when it comes to coverage. Obviously, he is one of the voices of the trophy room. I saw a tweet from him. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to go find it. But he said in so many words, and of course we try not to curse here, Geoff Keighley, do the F's. What did he say? Geoff Keighley, please effing do something or say something about what's happening. Not, use the power of the Game Awards to bring awareness to what's happening in the gaming industry. You know what you got? You got crickets. And I pulled his last 4 tweets, and he's only had 4 tweets since February 23rd. We're at March 1st. Has the guy been in a coma? Has he been on vacation? Has he been sitting on his hands? Well, shit, I don't know. But we're going to break that down along with a huge amount of bullet points that kind of prove Sony's in more than just a pickle. But listen, Crispy Bomb.
You know Geoff Keighley's hands exclusive to Kojima.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because if you read, and I will find Mr. Badbit's tweet. He says there are other people in the industry outside of Kojima. He does name drop Kojima. So, Crispy Bomb, I would imagine there's going to be a rant from you, as there normally is. I can't wait to hear it. Good morning, sir. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I knew this was going to be messy as soon as I saw the guest list. It's going to be fun. We got a lot to get into, and I'm sure there's going to be some differing opinions, as we like to call it. But that's what Breakfast with Boom is here for, as long as we're respectful, and that's all that matters.
Indeed. Absolutely. And last and no way least, someone that is back fresh from vacation. He enjoyed himself. He recharged his batteries. He had a bunch of fun. My brother, Fuzzy Belvedere, how you feeling, man? Welcome.
Well, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here, man. this morning's getting off to a good start already. So looking forward to the topics and everything. But man, it's one hit after another. It's like what's going to be the next post? What studio? What platform is going to have layoffs and whatnot? But I'm pretty sure we'll get into that as well as some other some positive things down the road. Between now and May. But man. For the consumers or the gamers themselves, it's a great time. For those in the industry, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Indeed. So listen, folks, let's do this. Let's before we get into PlayStation, and of course we're gonna get into that. Read you my bullet points that are gonna kind of paint a picture for you, and take it left, right, or center, however you take it. I want to go to Geoff Keighley now. Geoff is no stranger to the industry. He has made his fame and his fortune creating the Game Awards. It is an event that every year that it happens, it is grown by the millions each and every year.
Millions.
And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I quite enjoy it. I enjoy it because I like seeing the actual human beings that make these games and these worlds and these stories that we dive into head first and we get lost in. I love seeing them get recognition. I love seeing the world premieres that apparently weren't going to happen, but now they're still happening. Fine, whatever. And I do like where you get to see all of the industry movers and shakers sitting next to each other. It's the Oscars for gaming. It's an important event. I have supported it with my views. I have publicly, obviously, talked up Geoff Keighley. I think he's incredibly important to the industry. But it's times like this that make me get a little bit disenchanted with his lack of concern for the industry that he says that he loves. So here is the evidence-based conversation that we're about to have about Mr. Keighley. This week alone has been nothing short of gross and heartbreaking and disappointing and concerning. I'm not a game developer. I am a retired New York City police officer. I have a great pension. You guys and gals know that. I'm transparent on this channel about what I did. I was a community guy. I was a youth officer. I loved my work. Okay? How does that translate to what we're about to have? Well, how every time there's been an incident where something has happened in law enforcement, even though I'm a decade removed, I come out and I give my distaste for what has happened because I'm a human being. And at the end of the day, people matter. People have always mattered to me, and they still matter today. Well, why I'm bringing up Geoff Keighley is because in this last week, we have seen since Monday, everything, layoff after layoff after layoff, and interview and after interview about how people's lives are destroyed because of this. Okay? But Geoff Keighley, who is a diplomat to the gaming industry, has buried his head in the sand and has said nothing. And I bring this up because it was brought to my attention by Mr. Badbit, one of the best representatives of the PlayStation brand that is available in the industry. He's out there. He's not console worry. He gets out there with his best friend Kyle. They put on the trophy room, and he actually called Geoff Keighley out. And he made mention that there are more developers outside of his small circle that includes Kojima. So he's right. He's 1,000% right, because here is the evidence, folks. I went back and I said, let me see what was the last 4 tweets for Geoff Keighley. He's got to be talking about the industry, right? Like, he is Mr. Diplomat. He is Mr. Industry Representative, right? That's the guy. And well, he's a Sony guy, so he must be disappointed, right? He has to have said something. The answer is he didn't say a fucking thing. Pardon my French. Here is his last 4 tweets, folks. On February 23rd, he let us all know that with 39 months in the market, life to date unit sales of the PlayStation 5 are now tracking 7% more than the PlayStation 4. Well, congratulations, Sony Interactive Entertainment. His second tweet after that is about I would imagine, a new sponsor for the Game Awards 2024. GameSense has been announced. So when you're playing, Call of Duty, you can smell gunfire, explosions, racing, storm, forest, and even
my
more.
cologne during this podcast.
Or
If you had
your
bought it,
cologne, kind
could
sir,
smell me
which is
right now.
supposedly very good stuff. So there you go.
It's
But
good stuff, all right?
But
Polish.
then he has two additional tweets, folks. And they're, of course, about Toys for Bob leaving Activision. He doesn't have it once. He has it twice. He has here where obviously the team at Toys for Bob is spinning off from Activision Microsoft as an independent studio. I love their games for 30 plus years, and I'm excited for the next chapter they will write. Indeed, so am I. But then he also adds their blog, which was a very interesting read. And if you're wondering why we're not covering it today, is because we're going to cover it on Monday. I'm waiting for some behind the scenes details as to exactly what this means. And then we're going to cover it in full detail on Monday, so don't worry. But that is his last 4 tweets, folks. No mention of the 900 people at Sony Interactive Entertainment, specifically PlayStation, that had lost their jobs. No mention of 505 Games closing multiple studios around the world. No mention of EA letting go nearly 700 people, canceling multiple games. I find it to be disappointing. I find it to be reckless at best that he makes no acknowledgement of this whatsoever. He is the face of gaming when it comes to interactivity between the gamers and the game makers. And yet no mention whatsoever of any of what has happened in a week that anyone is disgusted with. To me, it is a misfire. It is definitely a mishandling. And the fact that he has buried his head in the sand tells me that his pockets must be deep, because he's not making any kind of qualms towards Sony, who probably pays a lot of money to be a part of the Game Awards. And I think ultimately, and I'll say this for me, not for the panel, it's disgusting. Look, we got to get into the Sony situation. Before we get there, though, let's go around the room. Loke, I'll start first with you. Look, again, there may be a debate here. I don't really think that there is, but I'm interested to get your thoughts and your theories as to why Geoff refuses to admit that there are industry problems and he buries his head in the sand. Oh, did he step away? Oh, you're on mute, brother.
Nah, he's muted.
Okay.
Sorry.
Turn on your mic, fool.
So, first off, I want to apologize to you, Boom, and to the chat, who I'm about to offend. But I feel like this whole conversation is being completely disingenuous. Like,
okay,
completely.
if you feel that way, sure.
We are looking at Geoff, and we're expecting a behavior that he has never had. We are now expecting him to have it, right? This is the guy, right? Remember the Game of the Year awards last year?
Yes.
It trended for a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. It was
Yes.
trending for a couple of days that actual developers, the real superstars of gaming, the people that make the magic that even makes this whole podcast or all the other podcasts even worth everyone's time, they were barely highlighted.
Yes.
There was a meme about how devs were being pushed off screen, but actors, these like superstar actors or whatever, could just stay there and talk and go off their spiels and whatever. But the people, right, the LeBron James, the people with their hands in the dirt of gaming, they were given 30 seconds or less.
Yes.
This is the guy that greenlit that sort of attitude. So you are looking at it like he has a bias against Xbox. I'm like, dude, this guy has a bias against gaming. What are we talking about?
Okay, I mean it's a
How
fair
much
Get
how
him.
much gameplay? How much gameplay did we see at the Game Awards? Almost nothing. It was trailers and fluff. That's all it was. It's all about the bottom line. Geoff Keighley, I'm sure there was a time 10, 20 years ago, it was about the passion. It was about the love. There was a time that Geoff Keighley was Double Barrel Gaming. There
Yeah.
was the time that he was Boom. There was a time. But this is his behavior, and everyone else's behavior is just a consequence of corporatization.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
soon
that's
as you
fair.
put corporations into any industry, I like to use the analogy of Super Bowl.
Get
Look
it.
at what the Super Bowl was from start to finish in the 80s, in the 90s, 2000s, and now.
Commercial.
There's less football. There's less football than ads.
Yeah.
You go to the Game Awards, there's less games. There's less developers than fluff and superstar actors. So I think everyone's being very unfair with Geoff. We know he doesn't care about developers. We know he doesn't care about the games. So why are we being like this? It's like getting mad at Monster Energy. We're getting upset at Monster Energy because we find out that, I don't know, people are getting heart attacks if they drink one can of Monster every single day. That's what it's there for, bruv. The next Kojima game will have 10. The next Kojima game will have 10 hours of cutscenes. That's what it's about.
Yeah, you know what? You're not. You're being fair. I can't argue at all. That's good. You're making some phenomenal points, Lo, for sure.
Let's leave Geoff alone, guys. We know what he is. Let's judge him on what he is. Come on, that's all I'm saying.
No, listen. You know what, brother? You got a ticket to come back to the show immediately. So you didn't get yourself voted off of Boom Island. You're coming back, so don't even worry about that. But
I was like, when I'm done. I was thinking when I'm done, I'm probably gonna get kicked off.
Fine.
Or maybe when I look back at StreamYard, I'll be like off the chat, and I'm just talking to myself, screaming at this random camera.
That's not gonna happen.
Good to know we're still
when
here.
I leave, come together like butt cheeks.
Listen, Hamlet, let's bring you in because look, let's be fair here. Loke made some phenomenal points. So basically, this is a Coach Green situation. They are who we thought they were, right? Obviously, if you're a Vikings fan, and I'm not really a Vikings fan, but I'm a football fan, so I remember that particular quote from Coach Green. I don't necessarily agree that it's because he's this way we just have to accept it. I would love to think that certain things happen in an industry that you love, and you have to say something. So he didn't. It's fine. And you know something? It's true. He's absolutely right. Loke is knocked it out of the park. He goes, that's Geoff Keighley. He cares about the corporate aspect of the Game Awards, not the people's, which is a little bit shocking, but it's fine. And he made some really phenomenal points. Do you think we're being unfair to Geoff? That's for you, Ham.
Oh, shoot. Unfair? No, man. Like this dude, man, I mean, I see what Loke is saying, but I feel like Boom is right in the sense of like giving bro the smoke until he says something, man, because it's just like, yo, you at this point in my and many other people's eyes are Mr. Take Advantage right now. Like you clearly look like Mr. Take Advantage, and like you can keep going down that road all you want, but I just don't think it's gonna continue to work out for you if you keep making these devs look wild when they when they have an opportunity to be represented on stage for the phenomenal performances that they worked on throughout the years. And you give all this time to people like Nicolas Cage and all these other folks that don't know a lick about gaming and whatnot. you think that's going to bring some sort of I don't know, acknowledgement as for being a great representative of gaming. I'm kind of with you a little bit, Boom, on this one. Take your anyway, sit down, look, relax. I'm just saying.
You would be against me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yeah. Geoff, I think he should say something just out of the just out of the respect, man. Just out of the respect. I mean, you come out here, invite all these folks out every year to use their image, their name, their development or a publishing brand and whatnot, and you spread it all over the place and say, yo, we got this new game to show you and all this stuff, and then when things hit the fan, your pin drop quiet. I find it weird that he tells people to support him, but he ain't very supportive of himself. I find that weird.
I mean, again, shout out to and there's someone new to the chat. So Dr. Dry Rub, welcome to the program, brother. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out, and more importantly, taking the time to give your opinion, because obviously it matters. He said Geoff doesn't. I just had it. Oh, for the love of Joe, Geoff doesn't have to say anything. It's not his responsibility to say a word. Okay, that's your opinion. I hear you. I'm not going to fight you on it, but I disagree.
No, he's right. It ain't his responsibility to, but just like, I don't know, just like when any kind of crazy stuff happens in the NFL or in the NBA or whatnot, you see the commissioner come out and say something, or you see some sort of big name.
Are you implying Geoff Keighley is the commissioner of gaming?
I'm not saying he's the commissioner of gaming.
He's certainly one of the faces of gaming.
But I'm saying he is a face that people recognize regularly.
Yes.
Right, so I'm about to boot myself from the podcast, but okay.
And then take your ass home, bro. But but I'm just saying, like, when you got that kind of clout and you're wielding it and you're using other people's and you're using other people's like credibility and stuff like that, don't you think you should give back? Like, do you see what I'm saying? I mean, why are you going to take so much and not give nothing?
If you think Geoff Keighley runs that Twitter account, right? If you think he runs it, you must still believe in the Tooth Fairy.
You know what? I think he runs it good enough to talk to Tim Dog and pat his back. Yep. Why can't he pat any developers back?
Yeah. I mean,
he ran it enough to be able to say, Tim Dog, poor baby, you okay?
On a consistent basis,
you know what I find ironic?
He was in his space.
You know what I find ironic is he pats his back and says it's okay because he's mad at Xbox, right? Because he's mad at Xbox. But Sony has some issues going on. Industry has some issues going on, and he's just,
nowhere to be found.
Yeah, nowhere to be found. This man out of town.
He's being consistent, guys.
You're right.
You're right about that. He has been consistent. As someone else monitoring Twitter on a daily basis, that's someone else is the one who tells them, like, yo, something's happening. Someone's in a space. They've been there for 8 hours crying. Now, please, Geoff, can you rock up? He's not there terminally online checking out, scrolling personally. He's not checking this stuff. And he's probably given these instructions to the person. Bad Sony news, don't call me. Bad Xbox news, call me. Bad Nintendo news, call me. So why are we surprised? I don't get why we're surprised, guys.
I don't think anyone is actually
Next we're gonna have a podcast. We're wondering why some extreme Xbox fan, I don't know who has a large following, never talks about bad Xbox stuff. We're gonna have the podcast based off of that. It's his role, it's his position. Geoff Keighley is a Sony guy. We know this. Why are we pretending like he's not?
Oh, I don't think anyone's pretending that he's not, and I don't think anyone is surprised by it, but I think that it's a conversation worth having because he is the face of gaming. And the fact that he makes
face of gaming.
He is the face of gaming. He absolutely is the face. He has taken on that
I disagree.
responsibility
I
by
can-
being the producer of the Game Awards, the biggest gaming show of the year. I don't think that you can just remove yourself from the conversation. Like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about a smellometer instead of 900 people being laid off because I'm a Sony
He
guy.
just did, bro.
I
He just
know,
did
I
remove
understand
himself.
he did, which is why we are having the conversation. Again, I don't think anyone here is even suggesting that we should be surprised by it. But the fact of the matter is that I don't think it's an excuse that, like, oh, you know, that's just Geoff. You know, what did we expect him actually to give a shit? Nah, you know, it's fine. No, man, I disagree with that 1,000%. I really do. I think that like Dr. Dry Rub, he doesn't think it's his responsibility. Okay, that's fine if you believe that. But when you are the producer of the Game Awards, let's call it like it is. There are events in gaming. There are no events bigger than the Game Awards. That is a fact. The numbers prove
Yes.
that every year
Yes.
it gets bigger. You don't think that that puts responsibility on you to actually be a person, a human, and say something about some really heinous shit that is happening in the industry? I don't know,
I
man.
want to say one more thing, and then we
barbershop,
can go,
please,
then we
yeah,
can go back
absolutely,
around the
please.
table because I don't want to make this about me only. But I just want to say one more thing. My I guess my problem with it is I am nihilistic. I have zero like hope or expectations as soon as a corporation steps in, or as soon as an individual becomes as big as a corporation in terms of production or attention, because I know what that entails. Scale entails a certain amount of caution doing or not doing X. So as soon as something becomes that big or someone becomes that big, I kind of don't look at you as someone that can even be truthful. And I'm being just honest about this. If Ham Solo
we
wakes
love
up
it.
tomorrow, if Ham Solo wakes up tomorrow and he's got 1 million followers and he's presenting shows like Paris does for Xbox or whatever, I can't really, not that I can't, I will never take anything Ham says at face value. I'll never be like, oh, that's what he really thinks. No, that it's not true. So to expect, I think it would be inconsistent of me to expect anything human from someone that represents something that is completely devoid of humanity, which is a corporation. But
I mean, it's fair. It's strong points. I can't argue, and you know what? That is a fair assessment. So, Crispy, let's bring you in on the conversation. We then after we get your opinion, and obviously we're gonna get Fuzzy's Belvedere's opinion about the Geoff Keighley situation. We're gonna get into the Sony situation because again, I think there is some dire concern. They're not going out of business. They're not leaving gaming. There's probably going to be a PlayStation 6, even though some people like King David think otherwise. And, you know, King is 98.9% right at the time. So maybe he's right. Maybe he's not. We don't know. But there are other issues at hand. And I think that coming off of a 2023, as poor as it was for Sony, starting 24 the way it has started, it's just not really good. And not many people in the gaming media are talking about it. Now, whether that's because they're in the pocket or not, I honestly couldn't tell you, but I would assume so. But let's get Crispy's hot take on, of course, the Geoff Keighley situation.
I mean, some people have called him the ambassador of gaming.
Yep.
And that's not just us, but many people. I remember watching the Game Awards and he stuck to his guns and he kept going. And it was on G4 TV. It was on Spike. Remember Spike?
Spike, yes.
People forget what their roots are. And we look to them because, let's be honest, the Game Awards has over 10 million views, and that's only 2 months. Looking at the Oscars right now, and they're not even hit 1 million. It is bigger than it is bigger and more important than what some people realize. But us gamers, we look to it. Well, apparently, gaming is starting to supersede movies and TV. And I'm sure if I look at the Golden Globes and all these other things, we know it's an award show. We know there are going to be corporate sponsors. We know that certain games are going to pay more to have more time. We understand that. We're not talking about that, though. We're talking about somebody that has went into spaces with people, he's created spaces. He's done all of these things that, say, hey, like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but you're acting like it. So regardless, I mean, look, you might be right. Maybe there's somebody else handling his Twitter, but at the end of the day, I've heard the dude talk off his Twitter. So it's one of those things, like, do we hold him to the fire or not? All I got to say is that, like, you look at what he said in these past week, we'll say nothing. I mean, just at the least say, this is not good. Something. Because at the end of the day, you could look at him and be like, oh, he's that guy. Yeah, we get that, but you're not even playing your persona right. You're not even, people look to you and say, hey, like, this guy, he cares about gaming because he stuck with the Game Awards, at least for some of us that remember that. All right. But at the end of the day, he don't care. And we know that, but he's not even playing the persona of actually caring. And that's where you go and say, well, might as well block him or mute him because ain't nothing of substance is going to be said. And that's where you could make money, you could play the game, but you're going to lose yourself in the process. And we've seen a lot of people do it. All right. I'm actually glad that I do these shows and I don't make a dime. I just want my voice heard. That's it. But maybe I'm just few and far between. Maybe I don't care. Maybe at the end of the day, like, if I'm going to push my brand, it's going to be my brand. But at the same time, I push everybody else's. Why is that? Because you know what? I'm on that show, and guess what? I get my voice heard. So he has this unlimited voice. His brand is bigger than some of the biggest movie companies. And you can use it for good. And if you choose not to, we're going to call you out. I'm sorry. I don't have as many followers as him. I'm not looked at some kind of gaming person that, actually has a voice and whatever he says can actually be something special or something bad or something good. Like, I'm just this dude that tweets stuff on Twitter. So I look to this dude and be like, can you actually call all the developers out right now? And this includes Microsoft. Okay. What is going on? Are we just going to, we've seen so many layoffs in a 3-month period now, and it's barely 3 months, that we're like, what is going on? How is this sustainable if everybody is just like, we're done? Now, you get into the math of the situation. You say, okay, end of fiscal year is coming, 2 months away. They are laying off, but we haven't seen this every year. So there's something going on. There's going to be a pivot. And at the least, just say, hey, this sucks. Hey, this, I feel bad. He has said nothing. Nothing at all. Come on. Like, you could say that somebody else is running it. Hey, Geoff, you got to, like, if that person's running it, Geoff, you got to, this is too much. Like, the amount of, the industry that you are supposedly a huge value to, because you highlight all of these games, you got to say something. So whoever's apparently running it, if we're going to go that route, should lose their job, because he should say something. He doesn't have to be specific. You could just say something, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's great points. Great points across the board. Let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere, fresh off of vacation. What are your thoughts on the non-verbal Geoff Keighley?
It's kind of a weird stance for him, especially for somebody that's trying to get legitimacy with Hollywood. as far as the gaming industry and everything. The first thing that comes to mind is like you know, like there's a greeter at a restaurant and they're the ones that, you know, welcome you there and give you a seat and stuff. This would be like the greeter of a restaurant that the restaurant's on fire and they're still trying to seat you while everything is burning in the background. You're not going to have that job for very long if you're not, you know, at least getting a bucket of water or you know, trying to, you know, cover some of the flames with a blanket or something, like, or at least evacuate the people and try to get them to safety type of thing. Like, I can understand people not wanting to hold them accountable for not saying anything, but if your livelihood is somewhat based on this industry and the industry is crumbling to some extent and you say nothing, it just feels, you know, misplaced or misdirected to some extent. You're going to highlight games like Power World and Helldivers, which is great. Those are smaller experiences or AA smaller games that are, you know, less expensive. They're not the $70 price tag of some of these other, you know, games that aren't landing as well as, you know, originally planned by these studios and publishers. Maybe you should highlight those with a bit of a message like, hey, some of these bigger studios should look more towards this as opposed to what they've been doing, trying to get, you know, every nickel and dime out of the consumer with microtransactions and having it where it's a $70 game still with microtransactions and season and battle passes and, you know, just all these costs and things like that. Like, you have to be somewhat vocal in that, so that way you still have a job or still have something that you can, you know, have a summer games fest for. Like, if things continue to this fashion and we do have the dreaded, you know, gaming crash, then what do? Are you going to be, you know, trying to solicit stuff for Hollywood, or are you going to move on to TV and movies to some extent? Oh, I'm the streaming guy now. Like, if you're going to be about gaming, then be about gaming and all aspects of it, in the sense that if you're trying to attract the audience, make sure you're helping the audience understand either what's going on, or maybe put messages out there like, hey, we don't necessarily need all of these $300 million budget games that take 5 to 8 years to make and, you know, only sell 10 million or something along those lines, where, you know, the licensing fee behind it winds up eating most of the profit on it. So you don't, you know, get return on investment. Like, I just feel like if you're going to position yourself as that face, as everyone has mentioned, you have to be more about it. Like, maybe he's not the right guy. Who is the right guy? No one knows at this point in time, but he's the closest to being in that position. I would say it's a wasted opportunity not to say something or do something, even if it's just, you know, not necessarily saying you have to make like PSAs for these, you know, $1 trillion companies and stuff like that, but still, there's something that needs to be said. Like, we're 2 months in and we have more layoffs in 2 months than we probably had in the past 2 years. And sure, some people could say, oh, it's part of the COVID, the kickback from that, and they overhired and the demand is down and stuff like that. But there's also the fact that, you know, there's other alternatives, which we have this pushback against AI, which AI could come in and make things a little bit more affordable. But then again, it puts more people out of work in some extent. Then should we convince some of those that are in that field that maybe you should learn how to program AI or break off into smaller studios working with AI to kind of fill in the need for that smaller studio to have a presence in the market? Like, there's so many different things that nobody wants to really talk about because everybody's kind of worried about the next hammer falling from this studio or this publisher, to the point where everybody's just got their lips zipped up for, you know, the next news break on Twitter or the next news break on some, you know, company website that, oh, we're closing doors, or, you know, this studio is now becoming independent because it's better than being closed completely, kind of thing. There's just so much going on. And it feels like if you're going to be that guy that wants to be taken seriously from Hollywood and other, you know, outlets as far as for gaming in general, be that guy or just stay home. That's all I gotta say.
It's a fair point, and I think everyone knocked it out of the park. Again, we don't all agree, and we've heard great opinions from Ham, from Loke, from yourself, and obviously from Crispy. and we're going to continue this conversation. But before we get to that, the Sony situation where it appears that no one in the gaming media seems to think there's an issue at PlayStation, even though there's a blatant issue. We're going to get into it. I got to catch up on super chats. First of all, Simon Brandy drops a very generous £5 super chat, and he says, "Boom! I don't know why you're surprised by Geoff. When the Xbox had layoffs, there were multiple articles. Sony had 900, 1 or 2 articles at most. Xbox tax." I mean, listen, 1,900 people from any corporation, you should write an article. And because it's Xbox doesn't mean we didn't cover it. We certainly covered it, and I gave them the business. They've had record profits, so it's disgusting. And that goes for Xbox. Sony, record profits. Now, granted, they have had some big losses, but that's because of just misses on projections. They've made some changes in leadership, obviously. Obviously they made that change because the leadership wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. But a lot of these companies that have had these layoffs, even though they are the quote unquote, leftovers from COVID, that's what everyone is running with in the industry, it still doesn't make it right. And when it happens, specifically here on Double Barrel Gaming, we're going to talk about it because these are human people. These are people with families that have to pay their mortgages and their rents, have to feed their families, send their kids to school. And now, even though, and again, I don't know what the severance is going to be, but each state is different. Some states may be like California. They could fire at will. They don't even got to tell you why. Yeah, you're just gone. And then you don't get a severance. And then what do? Do you know that gas is like $6 or $7 a gallon in California? Ridiculous. So yeah, we're going to talk about it here. And it's not console war rhetoric. I saw someone in the chat. I'm not going to mention them. Because they are someone new, and obviously we don't want to spook anybody away. But this conversation, I'm gonna tell you straight up right now, if you think this is somehow led by console war rhetoric, then you're just not reading the room, fella. I'll tell you that right now. And maybe you need to read the room better because this is not console war. And anyone that about the topic we're going to cover right now, if you think it's console war, it's news. But it's not news to you if you're a PlayStation fan because you want to stand in front of it and be like, nah, man, there ain't nothing going over here. And the factory is burning behind you. Just like the guy, nothing to go here. And the fireworks factory is exploding behind him. That's exactly what it is. I'm not saying Sony is dead. They're not dead. But if you think that they're not in trouble, you're just not reading the room. And we're going to disagree there. And that's perfectly fine. Mash, who's been someone that has exploded on the scene with his generosity. He has gifted folks another 10 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Dude, that is incredibly kind of you. Thank you for the generosity. And of course, thank you for returning. And hopefully you are enjoying the podcast. Dr. Dry Rub, welcome again, sir. He drops a very generous $10 super chat. And he says this, folks. Geoff is basically the Ryan Seacrest. That's a great 1-to-1 of gaming. Yeah, no, it's a great point. He says basically Geoff is basically the Ryan Seacrest of gaming. Whatever he says will make no difference in the lives of those affected or change the decisions of the corporations. At the end of the day, it's business. And I agree with you that the 1-to-1. But I think that, and again, you disagree, and that's awesome. I don't mind you saying that it's not his responsibility, but man, I don't know. I mean, look, we are not even at 15,000 subs, right? Now, would I love to be as popular as Geoff? Yes. Would I change to be as popular as Geoff? No. What you see is what you get. You get honesty, you get integrity. When I have a topic of discussion that is going to move the needle one way or another, I bring you evidence-based conversation. I go and I do the research. I do the copy and pastes, I read the articles, and I bring it to your attention. If you choose to disagree with my opinion, that's awesome. We can all have a different opinion, but you cannot deny the facts. And he is the face of gaming. He is and has been the face of gaming since way back in the days of Spike TV, where the Game Awards was viewed by 100,000 people. Now it's viewed by millions upon millions of people. Each and every year, it goes up by the millions. So he does have a responsibility. But again, that's my opinion, and I definitely respect yours. And again, thank you for the generosity of the $10 super chat. Smuzz246 drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, when Geoff started the Game Awards, he made himself the face of gaming. It is, in fact, his duty to acknowledge what is going on. And that, I agree. Bold Alpha Wolfpack, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, Geoff Keighley makes his living on the fruits of the devs' labors. He has a huge platform which yields on influential voice. The least he can do is say it's not right how devs are being used. Freaking hashtag facts right there. JJ saying 117. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says EA canceling the Mandalorian game was upsetting. Yeah, that's disappointing. But you know what? I'll even let that one go. For me, the biggest gut punch, because I'm a diehard fan and Crispy knows where I'm going with this, they killed Twisted Metal. Like, oh my God, that would have sold so freaking much for them. I don't get that. I mean, if the soccer cars continues to be popular, just imagine, think about this for a second. Again, I don't mean to go off on a tangent here. We got Big Cloud joining us. This is a freaking party here. Hold on a second. I need
who let this fool up in here, man?
I need to Big Cloud.
My brother.
Don't get me started.
Here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I hear an echo now. Big Cloud, it might be okay. It might be you, brother. Okay, so
Brother.
now hold on. Let me bring in the proper view for everyone, because this is I want to see all these wonderful men in front of the camera. Big Cloud, we're going to get to you in a hot second, because obviously we're about to go right into the Sony issues that a lot of people are kind of putting their head into the sand about. We're going to break that down, but let me just finish these super chats here. Well, I mean, we're going to get to it, but real quick, the Twisted Metal. This if I was sitting down with the studio, this is what I would say. Twisted Metal is a legendary franchise. My favorite is Twisted Metal Black. They could have at least just remade that, and I would have gladly paid $76.43 with tax. No questions asked, I'll take it. But the fact that this was going to be a gas game, they could have done so many amazing things. Think about this for a second. Imagine driving around some of PlayStation's most legendary like IPs. They could have made a God of War map. They could have made a Last of Us map. They could have made one of the more famous Twisted Metal. They could have done a Mario Kart type development for this game, where they brought in other character cars, a Kratos car, Uncharted car. They could have I would have bought every one of them. Twisted Metal is one of my favorite IPs. This is a big miss, but that's a horse of another color. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he says gaming needs unions before these layoffs become status quo in gaming, especially with AI on the horizon. 1,000%. That's a phenomenal point. Yes, unions are important. I had one as a police officer. They were important to protecting us. And I think unions are incredibly important. They were back in the days. I think they're even more relevant and should be more relevant in 2024. The way that corporations continue to just make record profits and use people like tissue paper. It's gross. And that's every corporation. Let's be clear. So let me go right into why I think there are some real serious issues for PlayStation folks. And here's why I think they have had a very bad few weeks. Now, this is coming off of a 2023 that was abysmal. They had I think it's probably the worst in platform history. Spider-Man, great. It was just one first party. This year, nothing.
Spider-Man was not great.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. No. It's okay. Listen, bro, you are like many people didn't like it. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a stan for Ted Price and Insomniac. I'm a big fan of the work. I love Spider-Man. I love Miles. So it was. I quite enjoyed it. That's just me. But here is my my evidence-based conversation, folks, for you. In the last 2 weeks of 2024, the last 2 months of 2024, this is what has happened. Now, mind you, I could have added more, but I didn't want to look like we were piling on. This was a conversation about the media not acknowledging that there's a problem with PlayStation and management and the actual corporation. Check this out, folks. Their stock took a $10 billion hit in value 2 Mondays ago. PlayStation, obviously, this week has announced that they were laying off 900 people, which is terrible. The UK tribunal is currently suing PlayStation for $10 billion in USD, which is, of course, is US money. That lawsuit is now proceeding forward. They have closed the London studios as a part of the 900 layoffs, all but killing PlayStation VR 2.0. Unless it's third party, they're not supporting that. So if you bought that hardware, folks, unless you have a PC that when they eventually move it over to PC, you're effed. Sorry, they're just you're gonna get a bunch of waterware for VR games. You're never gonna get a first party developed game because London Studios was like lead dev on that. They're now closed. A new report that was published yesterday by several of the big websites, again, Sony websites. So I was very surprised that Firesprite, which was also affected by some of the layoffs, has been shedding talent amidst accusations of a toxic culture. We learned, thanks to one of these websites, that Media Molecule, who is incredibly talented, just missed being closed by a pinch. So that tells me that if there are more layoffs and there are more closures, there's a good chance that talented studio could be closed. That is incredibly scary. Sony has been said to withdraw the agreement merger with the Indian-based company known as Z Entertainment, and now is going to owe $90 million because of the breakup fee. Now, mind you, all of this comes in the fact that they canceled last year at the end of the year, The Last of Us Online, which is another money-making mistake. I don't understand what they were thinking when they canceled. That game was in development for over 3 years and nothing. Twisted Metal obviously being gone, that's broke my heart. My hope for a SOCOM, well, good freaking luck with that. That's never going to happen. Because if they don't put Last of Us out and they don't put Twisted Metal out, the chances of them doing a SOCOM, gone. The chance of them doing a silent Cypher. Now he's in the chat.
Filter.
Yeah, Siphon Filter is gone. That's never going to happen. Again, I could have went even more on this. Loke, I want to bring you in. I don't want you to sit there. Well, first of all, I'm off the screen. Make sure he's here. Okay, he is here. Yeah. So let's bring him in just because he is doing some stuff in the background. I want to grab his opinion before he gets hung up with some of the stuff that's super important other than a silly podcast. Loke, you said you were going to challenge me on some of these things. I'm looking forward to it. Why don't you think there is an issue at PlayStation?
I didn't say there was no issue at PlayStation.
No. Okay, so apologies for putting words in your mouth.
Yeah. The point that you brought up was about Geoff Keighley, and I wasn't having it, and I explained why I'm not having it.
Okay, and you made it phenomenal points. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me rephrase the question. I have brought a lot of stuff that has happened in the last 2 months for PlayStation. What are your concerns, if any?
I am not concerned at all.
Okay, fair.
About gaming specifically, about Sony, about Xbox, they're going to struggle, in my opinion. This business about putting their games everywhere, and as I'm someone that's definitely turning into like a PC guy.
Okay,
right?
That's fair.
I'm turning into that guy, but they're giving me less and less reason to be excited for the PS6 and the Xbox, whatever they're going to call it next.
Yeah.
All right, they're giving me every single month that goes by. I'm just like if I was not a content creator, I would not. I probably wouldn't bother with a PS6. I wouldn't bother with a series, whatever. I would just get a PC because in terms of value to the customer, it's just not working because the value of everything is based off of comparison. People like to say that comparison is a thief of joy, but it's also how you gauge that your Land Rover is better than a Toyota. That's how you do it.
Phenomenal
right?
points.
By comparing. And PlayStation having a bad 2023, I think objectively was a bad year. For me personally, I don't care because I'm not really like a very like exclusive kind of guy. I just want good games. Okay. I don't care where they're at. All right. I tend to lean more to this one. But I'm telling you, as soon as Xbox shuts down sharing their games everywhere, and then they suddenly start launching bang after bang after banger, you're going to see an Xbox here. All right. Because I don't care. I just want what's best for me. Who serves me best, if you know what I mean.
Yourself.
All right.
Of course, absolutely.
As far as PlayStation is good. As far as PlayStation,
stop doing that, Loke. Every time you say serves me, even on our podcast, you got to do like Degeneration X.
No, like, you know why I do it? Because I keep my controller. I always keep my controller down here. You understand?
Great. No. No, you know that the camera doesn't go that low.
It don't go that low.
And you're just like, yo, I need some service. Give me that service.
Give me that service on the controller. That's what I mean.
Gamepad.
Anyway.
That's the wrong service we talking about.
Point is, Boom, I've got no pushback. It's been a for the people that care about the whole first party, whatever. 2023 was terrible because even Spider-Man, I didn't buy Spider-Man. I got it via game sharing. I couldn't get through the beginning section where they're doing a recap of what happened in Spider-Man 1. I threw up in my mouth. It was horrible. It was horrible. Nothing in that opening segment inspired me to be like, I can't wait. And then I saw guys like Amazing Lucas and whatever, like the guys that I cared to listen to talking about, yo, you were missing nothing from this game. I was just like, okay, fuck it. Uninstall. Let me go play something else. You know? Let me go play Valkyria Chronicles 4. You know what I mean? Point is, it was a terrible 2023. 2024 looks to be even worse if you care about the whole first party exclusives. If all you care about is great games, there are amazing games on the PS5.
Oh yes, recently, and there are quite a few of them actually releasing soon.
Grand Blue Fantasy recently came out, Relink. Fantastic game. All right. Don't listen to anyone who says there's no games on PlayStation. No. There's lots of games on PlayStation. There's no games on PlayStation for extremists. All right. Those guys have no games. Tough. If you're here for clout, this is the wrong console for you. If you're here for games, get you a PS5. That's all I have to say.
I mean, it's a fair point. Again, look, like I said, I did not know that you had such a distaste for Spider-Man. I'll be honest, I'm actually quite shocked. Not because you're a PlayStation guy, because I own a PlayStation because I specifically really enjoy their brand of gaming, meaning that they have these story-driven, movie-like titles that are over the shoulder, that are story-driven, that are adult-themed. I like that. That's why I continue to go back to it. For me, Spider-Man 2, is it the greatest of the series? No, I think 2018 is phenomenal. For me, though, the pinnacle of the trilogy is Miles because it's a personal thing. I've told you folks this before. The reason why I have such an attachment to specifically the opening to Miles is my abuela had a house that looked just like that. It made me cry, honestly, because I remember going to her house during the holidays, and it was a big deal. So for me, there's an attachment there, which is why I find to be the Miles, some people call it like an add-on or a DLC, fine, whatever, if that's what you think. as the pinnacle for me. That's just me. But you are right. I think that you made a great point about there being great games on PlayStation. There are great games on Xbox. I think that this year
Yes,
we have
true.
already seen an astounding amount of games come out. And you know what's even more insane, Loke, is the fact that most of the games that have taken over social media have been made by small teams, have had small budgets, and they're considered quote unquote double A's. Helldivers 2 is another one. It was so big that they couldn't keep up with the servers. The one on Xbox with the
Power World.
the Power World.
Is Power World even a double A? I think it's a 1A or half.
It's probably a 1A.
I don't know,
I mean, the team is small, dude. They're a tiny team.
I'd like
It's
to
a
say
tough
something
situation.
about something that was said in the chat real quick.
Sure, please, by all means, go ahead. Respond.
Black Ronin 357 said it was a problem for Xbox, but it's fine now. The hypocrisy is crazy. Black Ronin, I'm sorry, but I don't represent the PlayStation fanboys. The people that like PlayStation are not a monolith, the same way black people are not a monolith. All right. When Xbox was banging, actually, Xbox has been kicking it for the last 3 years. They've been like destroying it, in my opinion. At no point was I bitching about it. Obviously, you don't know me, you don't follow me, that's fine. But for those that know me and follow me, I play wherever it's banging, and it's been banging on Xbox. So this hypocrisy thing, take it to someone else. I can't address that. Sorry, you guys.
No, listen. By all means, listen. I love the conversation, the banter between the chat between us is important, right? That's what we're here for. This is a conversational podcast, and again, congratulations on being welcome back, brother, because you're killing it. So you're coming back to the show when you got the time. Hopefully, you will have a better Friday the next time that you are here. Ham Solo, let's bring you in on the conversation again. Sony not having a great 2023, coming off of what is and was a terrible 2023. But see, this is I don't really care so much about the fanboys talking about this, because the extremists, like Loke was saying, are gross on every platform.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox has them, PlayStation has them, even Nintendo, if you can believe it, has them. You know what they are for me? They're either blocked or they're muted, because I don't have time for it. I'm 53 years old. I'm here to have fun. I'm not here to get into arguments about people about plastic boxes. Yes, I'm an Xbox guy. I prefer Xbox. I prefer then Switch. And then coming in a polite third is PlayStation. That's how I play. That's how I game. It's out there for everyone. But you know what's interesting, Ham? Whenever there seems to be a pinch of Xbox news, you get 30 articles. And some of again, when it's 1,900 layoffs, you got to put them on blast. You got to let people know that this isn't right, regardless of where you write for. But what's interesting is that, and they talked about this last night on PM in the PM, about how Sony has shit the bed once again this year. And there has been no talk. There's been no articles. There's been no rhetoric about it from gaming media. I think it's a problem. I think that the only thing that you just got was some articles about some of the layoffs, which obviously I'm happy to see is happening, because, again, people make games for now. I don't know how much longer that's going to be, but people losing their jobs is a conversation we should all be having, especially the gaming media. How do you respond to that?
I mean, I ain't surprised, man. I mean, I literally did a little show not that long ago talking about how Wild Destin was talking a few months back when he said that there was no tax and stuff like that. I was like, man, there is a tax. It's clear to see. And everybody, wants to shut it down. Paris, he shut it down. There's no tax. There's no tax here. There's no tax. But constantly, I mean, you see, anything Xbox does, I mean, they could step near shit and they tell everybody that they step directly in it.
Yep.
So like, so I find that a little weird. And then on top of it, like, you look over at Sony, and I've been saying this thing about Sony for a little while. And I mean, I rock with Sony too. I got a PS5, and I mean, I enjoy it when I find games on it that I want to play. But but I've been saying for a hot minute, like, yo, they started out this generation chest all the way out, feeling untouchable, feeling like they could do no wrong, thinking that they had a good idea and a business model ready for this ready for this generation and possibly moving on to the future. And they got hit in the mouth, and they didn't just get hit in the mouth just by Xbox, they just got hit in the mouth by the industry in general. When they started to see things moving over to PC a lot more, people ain't really rocking with their games as hard as the internet likes to say that they do and whatnot. People actually cared about their old content and whatnot, and that's what some of Loke was leaning on a little bit ago, because he's just like, yo, man, PlayStation always getting, like, they just scrap the past like it never happened, right? But on the PC, you got Metal Gear Solid on there, you have it for the rest of your life. Am I wrong, Loke?
Yep, it's all about ownership. That's why I'm looking a lot of PC. You see a lot of people. I just rebought the Metal Gear collection because I'm a giant Metal Gear fan. And as I was playing it, one day I was listening to Oh No, It's Alex, and he was breaking down ownership. Tried to play this in 10 years, I probably won't have access to it.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, but continuing on from that, it's just like, yo, like, just look at the way things have been going down. I don't think, you know what? I think a lot of people have been paying attention, but a lot of people don't want to say nothing.
They don't want to say
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, if you look at the beginning of the generation, they're pumping out, and all the way from the beginning of the generation to now, pumping out remakes. They started out the generation with 2 remakes. They started out the generation with what's it called?
Spider-Man got one. They started off with, I think, Death Stranding got one immediately.
Demon Souls.
Ghost of Tsushima. Demon Souls.
Yep.
Yo, and then like
Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Now the Last of Us Part 2. And excuse me. And so it kind of shows that, hey, and we're thinking as fans, hey, maybe they're just revitalizing this because they got something prepared right after to give us. And then we see that no, they don't have that at all. In fact, they're scrapping things that we thought were gonna possibly come out right after. So factions, out of here. Any kind of like Twisted Metal, out of here. Spider-Man multiplayer, out of here. So it's just like a little wild. And then
that, apparently,
and on top of that, they're backtracking on some of their statements, right? We don't believe in day and date. We don't believe in day and date. And then what did they do with Destruction All-Stars? That was day and date. It was just ass. Yep. And that's why it ended up being day and date. And then on top of it, another backtrack. We believe in generations.
Yep.
What happened then? Let's get a back compat team. We believe in our VR. Shut down the studio. It's just like what is going on over here?
Hey, Solo, we're supposed to protect we're trying to protect our players. CrossGen is now unable. Like, come on, these dudes.
Yeah, just like, what are you doing? And then on top of it, you made a PlayStation VR headset, which you just stood on the hill and said, you must get a PS5 for it. You must get a PS5 for it. A year later, they talking about going to PC with this.
Yeah, you don't need the hardware.
And people have the audacity to say Xbox is going third party. Sucker, your own peripheral ain't even first party.
Your hardware ain't safe.
This hardware is
think about that. Your hardware ain't safe to be exclusive. So I think a lot of people need to realize that a lot of things are changing. But
it's a great conversation, and you actually brought up even more points that I didn't even consider. And you know something, you made mention of Destruction All Stars. You know what also launched this year, day and date, that they said they weren't going to do? Foam Stars. And Foam Stars, in the same manner and fashion as Destruction All Stars, came in and literally within 3 days gone.
You know what's funny about that? Dudes were hyping it up, saying it was media bias against it. And yet these same dudes who hyped that up and were arguing about this weren't even playing it. They were playing Helldivers 2.
And Helldivers 2, folks. Look, I know there were server issues. I couldn't get in for 2 days. I got a little I got a little angry, so I didn't go back to it. But my brother doesn't like it. He got a refund. I still have it. I bought DLC for it. I'm gonna still play it. I think it's a good game. Is it the greatest game of all time? No, but you know what? It's fun. It's campy. It's B movie level stuff. I like B movies.
Reminds you of Starship Troopers.
Absolutely. Well, that's B movie number one. But
Yep.
the fact that you're, when your character starts yelling about the government and he's shooting bugs, who doesn't laugh at that? That's freaking hilarious. So again, I'm not making excuses for them. I like what they did with it. I bought it. I'm proud that I bought it. I'm having fun with it. Look, I want to bring in BitCloud.
There's one last thing I want to say.
Oh yeah,
you go
please,
on.
by all means.
There's one last thing I want to say before we go on.
Because I know about the clip.
I do. As much as people want to say that they don't believe that this is going to happen, I actually believe this is going to happen. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think you're going to start seeing some other PlayStation games hit Xbox as well. And I think people are tripping when they say, "Oh, PlayStation ain't doing it. PlayStation ain't doing it." They already told you that they're doing it.
Yep.
You want to know what game?
I want to see
They told
it.
you straight up with Marathon. It went right over your head. Oh, it's just a different type of studio. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Tell me the difference between putting Sea of Thieves on PlayStation and Marathon
on Xbox.
What's the difference?
One's water. That's what they call damage control. One's water, the other's not.
So Sony's telling you, hey, Bungie, figure out a way that we can extract money from everybody.
Yeah.
We bought you because we know what you want to do. You want to still serve everybody else, and we're letting you do that. What's the difference between that and Bethesda?
Yeah. It's phenomenal points. I can't argue, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. A lot of people think that it's going to be a few years before, because Sony usually follows suit to what Xbox is doing. They don't do it immediately. Sometimes it takes years. I think with Hiroki Totoki in the chair making these decisions,
I think it's shorter, like
it's much shorter. Absolutely, especially if you go based on how much money they're losing.
Right.
Folks, I didn't even add. I mean, if you remember the end of last year, they're being sued by the French government for anti-consumer behavior with controllers, with third-party controllers.
Yep.
No one mentioned that. I didn't mention it because it was old news, but that's also a pending lawsuit. And again, when you look at the EU as a whole, usually it's one country that starts it, and the other countries start to pile on. We haven't heard any other countries. We know that the CMA and the CAT have said that there's enough evidence for the lawsuit against Sony for anti-consumer behavior to be pushed forward. That is upwards of $10 billion. They just lost $10 billion 2 Mondays ago. I mean, they just made a bunch of layoffs. This is not console warring. These are facts, folks. I have the articles. I've read them verbatim. This is you can chalk it up as these are Xbots. They're just piling on Sony. That's not the case. We're having a conversation here, and I want to continue that conversation with BitCloud. But BitCloud, before I get to you and before this old man forgets, I need to do 2 things. One, catch up on Super Chats. But before we get to that, I do have to run a commercial, folks, because we are being sponsored once again by the Valari gaming pillow. And like I said, this is a pillow that a lot of people know about. Some people don't. If you know anything about me, what cost me my 21-year career as a police officer was a freak accident. I slipped on black ice. I wound up hurting my L4 and my spine. And all the years of carrying all the equipment that I did, I had a bulging L5. So what they had to do for me was fuse my L4, L5, and my S1. So I have a hardware, and I look like Wolverine in an X-ray, but I just don't have his claws and everlasting life. So with that said, when the Valari gaming pillow reached out to me and Mrs. Boom last year, we get requests all the time, and most of the stuff I will not do, because if I'm not going to personally use it, I'm not going to try and sell it. That's not right. But they said, hey, listen, we're going to send you a pillow. Let me know what you think. So I tried it, and when I looked at the pillow, I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. This is just dumb. And I started using it, and I was like, wait a second, this actually works. And then, of course, I was gifted a Iron Lord's pillow from King David, and that one's the one I use. It's dope. It's got their logo. It's black. It's got the gold on the bottom. It's got the gold trim. It's really dope looking, and it actually works. So when we agreed to work together, because they're a small mom and pop organization out of Dubai, I decided to have a commercial made because I'm not a cue card reading kind of a guy. I think it doesn't sell the brand. And I had Sean LeBrie, a very talented artist that everyone knows in the community, do this particular commercial. And when you go and if you're considering buying one of these pillows, if you type in the code DBG15, you will save 15% off of your entire order. Check out the commercial, and we'll get right back into the program. Again, folks, thank you so much for checking out my 35-second commercial. Obviously, once again, use the code DBG15 to check out, and you'll save 15% off of your order. Now, let's get right back into it. Big Cloud Gaming, you jumped in. You heard what I had to say about some of the shortcomings, if you will, of Sony in 2024. This is coming off of a really rocky 2023. What do you want to what do you want to add to the conversation, sir?
So I wouldn't say 2023 was rocky. I'd say it was one of the worst years in the history of PlayStation that we.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I never thought in a million years that we have grown men damage controlling one first-party release from a corporation. But yeah, these guys are so vocal when it's Xbox. Funny. Anyway, good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a while, so I hope you guys are good. Shout out to the chat.
Welcome.
So where do I begin? So much to take into account, Hana. So already know what I'm about to say in regards to one thing. Dude's been prioritizing trying to talk about Three Horizons. Listen, what's happened in front of you is literally the exact same thing. Steven Solo said this on his show multiple times, but I just said back. I let people, speak their minds. I keep telling you, like, listen, change is going to happen in some capacity. I've said on here in front of Boom multiple times, but now we're at a point where I think a lot of people just really have exposed themselves to, one, not only not care about this industry, but they don't even care about the very games they've been preaching about for years. As of late, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, dude's been talking about how they hate AAA games now. I never thought in a million years I would see people post this on social media, that they want AAA games to go away. Listen, I'm going to repeat this. It doesn't matter the budget of the game. The problem is you morons are not supporting the games you're running your mouths about. You spend all your time in Twitter spaces, dumb YouTube videos, and podcasts, and you don't buy the games that you talk about. That is why these games are going to multiple platforms. There's a reason why Herman Hull said they have to reevaluate how they're going about things as right now. It's already 50-50 with day and date with PlayStation when it comes to games as a service games. All games as a service games go day and date with PC. Now they're going to go full force with this. With $10 billion lost in stock, there is a big change that's about to happen. More games are going to follow suit. More attempts are going to be going this way. And as you guys clearly can see, with games costing $200 million, I'm talking about minimum here, $200 million to go about these AAA budget style games. If these games are not selling, you're going to see them get their money elsewhere. Otherwise, you're going to be paying $80 to $100. I know for a fact no one on this panel wants to pay $100 for a PlayStation game or an Xbox game. Now, do you? Of course not.
I don't want to pay $100 for any game, and
so
not one.
And what's funny, people.
I'm trying to play $3 per game. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and
That's
the thing is,
what-
people think them doing this, charging us $100 would fix the problem. No, that's not going to fix the problem. It's going to sell even less. If dudes are not buying games at 70, what the hell makes you think they're going to buy them at 100?
Yep.
Think about that. Really think about that. That's like the reverse domino effect I've ever seen. It's not going to work the way you guys think it's going to work. So the thing is, something's got to give. Flat out, something's got to give, and the thing that's got to give is this whole tribalistic nature that I buy my console strictly for these exclusives. The numbers have been exposed, ladies and gentlemen. You don't even buy the exclusives, so obviously exclusives are not the thing that's selling you the box. You're buying it for third-party deals in the Maddens, et cetera, et cetera. That's basically what it is. See, the thing is, the vocal minority think they matter more than the overwhelming majority. The majority is they're not buying these AAA budget games like that. They're not. And even some of the dudes who run their mouths the most are not doing it. They're not doing it. So now that you're seeing this happen in front of you, you're going to see even more stuff happen. And it is what it is at this point. I don't know why people are so attached to it. I've said this I did 2 videos back to back. It's the end of exclusives. Dudes think Microsoft is not going to get PlayStation games. And PlayStation games, gamers are not going to be able to play more Microsoft games. It's going to happen. It's going to be a full-on circle effect. It's going to fix everything. Both platforms, in a weird way, embracing third-party to make their money back and continue to make the games you want. Now, I have to ask you guys on the panel, what do you care more about? Tribalistic nature of exclusives, or do you care about the survivability of the hobby that you guys like to be a part of?
Obviously, the survival of the hobby should be
Preach.
paramount to anyone.
Because here's the thing. As of 2024, and this is, again, I'm not going to say Brap's name. I ain't even going to bring up Brap. He made a dumb comment, but I'm just going to bring this up. There has been over 8,000 as of 2024.
Yep.
8,000 developers that have lost their jobs.
And last year, the total amount was 11,000, and that was a 12-month period versus 2 months of 2024. That should scare
everybody. If Insomnia Games is not safe with PlayStation in terms of losing workforce, no one is safe from losing workforce. London Studios is gone. What's next? Media Malco?
They were on the chopping block. I actually had that on the list. A lot of people don't know that they missed it. They missed it by a pinch. But see, what that says is, okay, they're saved now. What happens if they lose one of these lawsuits and they have to make up ground for investors? Do they close a studio like Media Molecule? They might, and that sucks.
Thing. Yeah, and here's the funny thing. Do say if they do this, they say this. They say they're killing the platform. They're compromising the platform. They've already compromised their platforms, especially Microsoft. They've had their games on multiple platforms to begin with. Han just brought up an Xbox game for PlayStation, flat out the gate. Even with MLB The Show, it's on Xbox. They've done this. So I don't know where people are getting this mindset that it would compromise the platform and all this stuff. And you know what's funny? Despite those games, guess what these dudes still are? You're still in the ecosystem that you're part of. If you notice, Sony and Microsoft have not really been focused strictly on selling you consoles. They've been selling you an ecosystem, a way for you to enjoy the game any way you want. One of the main ways you can enjoy these games, of course, is cloud. You can do this on your mobile devices, right? You can do this on a console. And guess what? Your PC. That's what they're selling you. Multiple ways to experience these games with no problems. That's what they're doing. They're selling you ecosystems. Consoles, yes, they talk about console sales. Console sales are good. But as you guys clearly can see with console sales, what happens with console sales with PlayStation, Nintendo, and etc., guys? They reach a ceiling. Not one console has touched PlayStation 2 sales numbers. We have not gone past PS2 sales numbers. So something clearly has to change. There needs to be a new money flow at this point. And that's all
it's funny. It's business. We were talking about this just the other day. What a lot of people don't understand, and this is going to sound like a very big inflated number. Console gaming on every generation hits a ceiling of usually around 200 million, right? Mm-hmm. What happens with that is, yes, you get the people to buy the console. You get some of those people to buy games on that console, whether it be digitally or physically, it doesn't matter. But they don't go above. And when Phil Spencer said they needed to find new customers, people clowned him on it. Like, oh, there you go, 3 billion gamers. look, I have said my piece. I'm a dinosaur. I admit it. Listen, I understand that in my understanding of exclusives, it makes no sense for me how I was conditioned that a God of War lands on an Xbox and a Gears of War, lands on a PlayStation. Sorry, I don't agree with that, and I probably never will. Do I have a problem with Sea of Thieves? Honestly, no. Grounded, no. Pentiment, not really. But Hi-Fi, you heard my piece on that. I think it's to me, and I don't have the numbers, so what the hell do I know? It's a transmedia darling that has a chance for incredible reach outside of gaming because of how cool their characters are. The story, Chai, all of his homies that he rolls with, amazing, right?
Yep.
I mean, come on. They have a chance to really be
Here's the
something.
thing about that too. Now, what you just said, now that it's on multiple platforms, more eyes are on it, right? It has a chance
Yes.
of getting a greenlit sequel. You
Yeah,
know what
there you
also
go.
could have, you know what also could have benefited from this? And we talk about this game a lot, Boom. The Order 1886.
Dude, please
You know
make
what?
a
Oh.
sequel.
You know what also could have
Good game.
benefited from this, but it also got canceled at the same time. Twisted Metal. You see, I'm talking this logically. I'm talking about this logically. You know what I'm saying? Logically, y'all want these games. Okay, well, here's a plan to make sure you get those games, and they make their money back, and it's greenlit for sequels, etc. And it continues to flow. It's like especially if it's a hit. But the thing is, these dudes don't understand that they're stuck in this tribalistic nature. They think, they think the identity of a console strictly is the exclusives, and that the consoles will lose their value. Listen, consoles will always exist because of one vital thing. You know what the vital thing that sells consoles? Simplicity. Plug
Yes.
and
Convenient.
Plug and
Plug
play.
and
For me, like a simpleton like myself.
You don't.
I just want to
You
push the
think
power button
Sony
on and go.
don't see that MLB is doing what it's doing on Xbox, but not even on their own console, bro?
The number is 6-1. By the way,
the
if you
funny
want
thing
for
is,
context.
Yeah, no. The funny thing about this, hon, if you be really realistic, when we just use a game that just came out, right? Look at Helldivers. So Helldivers had damn near 1 million people like concurrent playing. It was like 700,000 last time I checked. It was really, really high.
Yeah, it's
You
crazy.
think they're now looking at these numbers and going, I wonder what our first party would do day one on this. Yeah, we did good with Ratchet. We did good with this, that, and the third years out. But I wonder what we do if we strike when the iron is hot. Here's the moment.
Xbox gamers would play it. I'm telling you, they
Sure
would.
they
They
would.
won.
I'd play it.
They'd
I'd
be all
buy it
over it.
again. I'd
be
buy
all over it.
Helldivers again. Not
That's
a problem.
like saying a PlayStation gamer, a real PlayStation gamer, or just a gamer in general wouldn't play Gears of War if Gears of War was available on PlayStation.
Let me curb stomp them.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's the thing. People are wild at this point, and it cracks me up. They think, these consoles are the only way to experience things. They're not. They're not. Like, yes, consoles have their moments to shine. They'll have those, that brief window where they show off new tech and whatnot, especially when they're new. But evidently, it's going to go to this point where it's outdated. PS5 is already outdated, in a sense.
Yeah.
It's already. That's why you guys getting a PS5 Pro, which, by the way, more hardware than we talked about last time. Remember that, Solo? More hardware than software. What did you get? PS5 Pro, a headset, new earbuds, a portal. What else did we get, Solo? VR.
A controller, a new set of headsets, or a new head of like earphones and stuff like that, because the old ones can't even work on the portal. Like it's crazy.
A $200 peripheral, a $200 fix for these because they can't fix these analog sticks. Think about that. This is what they're doing. So now Sony knows they can't get away with this anymore because it's catching up with them. Like Spider-Man, I guarantee you they were expecting Spider-Man to probably be like lightning in a bottle type of thing, like 20 million right out the gate. And I could probably see it with the name of it. But the thing is, Spider-Man has a ceiling too.
Yeah, it does.
He has a ceiling. He has a ceiling too. It's a good game. I like Spider-Man too, but it has a ceiling. The problem is the dudes who run their mouths on here ain't buying the games. And now you're seeing it full on. These dudes who claim to be all about gaming spend most of their time bashing Xbox. They ain't buying their PlayStation games. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Their PSNs are spooky. So what else can I really say?
Why you like this?
Why not? What could I really say? What else could I really say? Listen,
Spooky. Seriously.
what is spooky? What else did I say? Exactly.
Man, just the platinum king, by the way. Just saying.
What can I say? If your PSC ain't touch your mind, but you're supposed to be a PlayStation elitist, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I mean, listen, fair points from everyone so far. We still got to get to Crispy Bomb and Fuzzy before we get to the Hell Jumpers, which I'm very excited for, because Hell Divers is going to get here eventually, but it's not coming this year. Their team is small.
Give it a year. Give it a year.
Yeah, I would say about a year. I would
like
say,
to
be
change.
fair, you might
Would
see
it
the
still
Hell.
pop, though, if it comes there in a year?
It will.
Oh,
Yo, a beta test for us.
I mean,
it's like a
that's
GTA
what they usually say.
Like
to
right
kids,
now,
right?
that's what they're doing
Really?
with GTA. Like GTA, you gotta buy a whole new console supposedly to get probably 60 FPS. I'm curious how GTA 6 runs, but it's the same thing right now. All this stuff, this whole year wait thing, I don't think they're just going to keep throwing money at this stuff anymore. I really, really don't. I don't see.
I don't think they can afford to do it. I don't think any corporation is going to want to do that, because obviously it's all about record profits. It's all about the investors and filling their coffers. And
they're way over budget. Like games are not doing well. They spend, I don't even know how much money they threw at what was it, Square Enix for that dumb Foam Stars game. But Foam Stars, you know how many players was playing Foam Stars in the midst of Helldivers, Boom?
Like a handful, like literally, like
I just put it like this
of humans.
I'll put it like this: on Twitch alone, right? It only had like 400 viewers.
Wow.
Viewers, not gamers, viewers. 2 streams had 75 people watching.
Wow. That's definitely not good.
Tell you right there.
Wow.
So
listen, let's bring in Crispy Bomb. Let's get your hot take on the shortcomings, so to speak, of PlayStation and not only in 2023, but more specifically.
Address this guy, what's his name? This pain. Was I the superhero guy? Yes, I do believe Microsoft missed a golden opportunity to not jump on that bandwagon right out the gates when superhero games were hot. I do believe so. Now they got Blade.
But haven't we given them the smoke for that?
Yeah, we have.
Listen, I'm superhero guy number 1, folks.
Yeah,
I've been banging the drum against Xbox for that, and that was Phil Spencer. He refused to acknowledge that there was a market for licensed IP, and he has said publicly he doesn't like doing that because he has no control.
He has
now since changed his stance, because obviously Indiana Jones and Blade are coming. But that's because the community, i.e. guys like me and BitCloud, have publicly threw them on the coals, because I want superhero games not in just one location. I want them in all locations.
Like, believe it or not, there's a lot of superheroes that could have fit Microsoft's mold. Hell, you could have thrown Punisher at Xbox and it would have been fire.
Yeah,
dude. That would have been incredible on Xbox. Like that's a missed opportunity they missed personally. I know a lot of people didn't want them to quote unquote copy Sony, but it's like it's not really about copying. We've had this conversation. It's about being in the same conversation, having options. That's all it is. It's nothing wrong with having options. But yeah, no, I was. And as you guys clearly can see with Spider-Man, we've got Spider-Man. But the thing is, Spider-Man has gotten to this point now where that's all we've seen from PlayStation. If you think about it, from PlayStation as of late, yeah, you got Wolverine, but unfortunately, we're probably not going to see Wolverine for a few more years now because of the whole hacking
leaks.
Situation.
Yeah, dude, that code cannot be reused. Unfortunately, that code is just gone.
Yep.
And they're going to have to.
It's sad. It's sad.
Venom obviously is the next one. I don't know if that's next year.
That's definitely pushed back. Yeah, that's
probably going to get pushed back too, because that was leaked. But Lethal Protector, if you're a fan of the books, I'm talking about comics, but I call books because I'm an old man. But Lethal Protector was an amazing story. And again, Insomniac knows how to tell a different from the book story, like they did it with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2. I would imagine Lethal Protector is going to be different. But it's still going to be dope because it's Venom and they're telling the Lethal Protector story. Yes, please. Crispy, before we bring you in, I don't want to let the super chats get any longer because I want to give credit where credit is due. Let me read those and we'll get right to your point on this. Byro Gyro, welcome to the program, brother. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, thank you for the outstanding $5 super chat. And he says, Xbot here. But to be fair, Sony hasn't had record profits. They've had record revenue, which isn't the same thing. And that's a fair point. That you are correct in saying so. their profits have been low. I think it's like 6% or something like that, versus them selling consoles. So you're correct in saying so. So thank you for the correction, dude. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Nintendo suing Yuzu is concerning. I didn't see that. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you.
It's an emulator that's been out
That's
for
emulator.
like
It's an
years.
emulator.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an
All
OG
right, yeah.
emulator. So basically, they're against you owning your games. That's all.
Oh, well, that's a problem. And I have
Games
80.
that they refuse to sell you, but okay.
Yeah, no, I have to check that out. That's a great thank you for the super chat. That is gross. Voidlock, who's been a channel member for 6 months. Voidlock, thank you for the generosity. He says Sony's biggest downfall is going to be 70 and cutting out third-party sellers. I guess it means $70 games. Yeah, I mean Sony
It's
isn't
already
going anywhere.
Yeah, like the thing is, both platforms will still be here. You're just going to see them adapt to survive. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a big
change is coming. The industry
big
is changing, and Microsoft is getting all the arrows now, as they always do when they're ahead of the curve. People like I said, what happened with the community is just, I don't want to get into it because it's disappointing and very frustrating to see some people that I consider to be proper representatives of the gaming community, not just Xbox, but like of the gaming community, just walk away from brands, block people, say some really disingenuous and heinous things to others because of their opinions were different. I don't like that. I stay away from it. I block and mute because I don't like that kind of behavior. Again, I'm the old man in the room and I don't have time for it. It's just is what it is.
I mean, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. Every day is the same argument. You think about it.
Well, that's why, again, you don't see me tweeting about anything but games. Like when I'm playing a game, I tweet about it. When someone gets like for instance, Ham Solo hits 2,000 subscribers, I tweet about it because I want to celebrate everybody. I won't celebrate disingenuous behavior. I will not do that. Mash gifts another additional 10 double barrel gaming memberships. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Mash, thank you for being here. And of course, thank you for the outstanding generosity. We have Berg Brizzle drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I couldn't beat Spider-Man either. Yeah, I platinum Spider-Man 2018. I think I'm a 1 or 2 trophies, or I think it's 1 from platinuming Miles. I don't think I'm going to platinum Spider-Man 2. It's just I want to beat it. I haven't beaten it. There's too many games. I don't have enough time. That's my problem. Bunty in the chat, who's been a channel member for 32 months. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. He says, loving the panel. Keep up the good work, Boom and panel. I will say this again and again until Sony PlayStation division treats me as a customer. I will not get one. I mean, listen, I hear you. He drops, folks, an additional $10 super chat and says, a PlayStation or PS, it's been 6 years now, but you say give them a second chance. Or I guess he's talking about somebody. And he goes, and PS, it's been 6 years, but you say give them a second chance. But I did with my daughter wanting a PlayStation, and they did it again with my 14-year-old daughter. Never, ever, ever again.
Well, you don't like playing Last of Us repackaged for the 4th time?
Well, I mean, I bought it, but I got it on the Black Friday sale. I think I paid like $27 for it. So I want to play through because that's one of my favorite told stories, and I like Naughty Dog for that. I hated 2. You and we hated 2, but we loved 1.
Yeah. And they couldn't even give us patches for that.
Who in this panel loves?
Think about that.
Who loves part 2 in this panel?
Not me. I hated it.
Not me.
Hated it.
All right then. I'm just looking for someone to block today. I haven't found someone in a while.
That's actually good. I love that.
I love it. Right. This is why you're coming back. You're part podcaster, part comedian. We gotta have you back. We definitely gotta have you back.
Oh, God.
Lastly, before we bring Crispy back in, Sir Riffs a Lot drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I might see Xbox going a Gears of War Halo in the near future as a gas game across platforms but keeping the campaigns exclusive Xbox. Look, it makes sense what you're saying. I hope that no one from Xbox is listening when I read that, because I don't want that, but that's because I'm a dinosaur and I get it. I understand where my shortcomings are. Crispy, let's talk PlayStation. Let's talk about the specific issues that they're currently facing, both in the legal system, from being sued, from multiple lawsuits, from them being not really kind to the customer, but also some of the decisions have come the way of 900 layoffs, more layoffs potentially, because obviously investors want to get paid, and if they have to cut human beings to get it, they will, and that's very sad. Let's talk about it.
I mean, let's be honest here. Jim screwed up.
He did.
He went after Xbox buying ABK till no end, and he exposed himself. And at
Giant
that
pause.
time, he didn't retire. So let's be honest. He put himself in a position where he shouldn't have been, because we've seen Sony do some things that maybe isn't in the realm of the hardcore, but most people don't give a crap. Do they really give a crap? No, they don't. I mean, when you got MLB The Show has more players all the time and they keep releasing it in Game Pass, you could blame MLB. I don't think that's it. I think it's Sony saying, okay, you want us to hit a certain amount of players. Well, I guess we got to keep releasing it in Game Pass. I mean, you want to go corpo speak? Sure. These companies want to make money. They don't care about us as much as you think. But at the end of the day, there's one speaking, at least when there's turmoil or against the grain thought processes, and the other one is staying silent. So, like, BitCloud, bro, you killed it, dude, because you look at the landscape at this point, and it's unnecessary to be so poignant on the fact that exclusives are the thing that matters. I think we've went far past this. I mean, you look at Twisted Metal being canceled, and I was pissed. The tweets I put out were for a reason.
That's one of the main games we preached for, was Twisted Metal.
I wanted a reason to buy a PlayStation 5, and it's not necessarily for me in general. I am a gamer. I love my multiplayer. You said gas game as well. My God, like, I have played Rocket League. Like, I have played a lot of games that really have a value that you don't see until you actually play it.
Yep.
And Twisted Metal is one of those IPs that it drives me absolutely crazy, because I would have bought a PlayStation for that, but also had my girl playing all those games that you guys like. And that's cool with me. I got no problem with it. It's like a underrated gift. You know what I mean? Like, she's talked about Last of Us and all these other things. I don't play those games. I just don't. Like, what did I play last night? Gears and MK. All multiplayer the whole time. That's what I play. I play multiplayer games. If I go single player, I go offline. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to focus on the story. But that's me. You know what I mean? These are the things that everybody's having a problem with. Like Helldivers. If that was on Xbox, that would be like millions upon
dude.
Millions.
I
mean, seriously.
I would, like I said, we know it's gonna release at some point. When it does, I'm buying it. That's it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna spend money on DLC. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna enjoy it. Unfortunately, it's in two places. It's actually done really well. It sold over 3 million. Yep. Unfortunately, you didn't get a lot of support from PlayStation players compared to stream. If you look at Steam Spy, how many people actually bought the game, because that's where you get your numbers of who bought it. Steam Spy will tell you, X amount of gamers bought it. I think it was like 200,000. Now, again, these are old numbers. I don't have the new numbers in front of me because it wasn't part of the conversation. But originally, it was only 200,000 PlayStation 5 gamers. I'm an Xbot, and I bought it. My brother is an Xbot, and he bought it. He returned it because he couldn't get in. And he was like, F this game. But I still kept it because I really do like it. But where are the PlayStation players buying the games, Crispy? I don't know.
On Twitter Spaces, like I said, they're on Twitter Spaces.
I mean, let's be honest, okay? Like at the end of the day, like everybody's like, oh, like Game Pass is hurting the industry. I don't think it is. I think it's actually excelling the industry. I think that there's going to be a point in time where we're going to get smaller games, but the amount of worth involved in the fidelity and the aspect of what they do is going to be greater than having that $18 a month price point. Or, I mean, look at Hellblade 2. What is it? $50? I mean, seriously,
it's 40.
It was 40 and 60.
Yeah,
there was a deluxe edition, which again, as you folks know, I'm no stranger to deluxe editions on PlayStation. I freaking buy them all. I bought the $60 edition. So there are two editions. There's a 40.
But Hellblade, what I'm saying is Hellblade 2 is basically the same realm. And that's where I go and say, but
yeah, $50.
Is it gonna hit people different? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I played enough of Hellblade 1, and this is where I call out Ninja Theory, like, hey, like if we can't get through some of these puzzles, can you help us out a little bit? Because like sometimes I was sitting there I'm looking at what is supposed to be focused on, and it's driving me crazy. But the visuals of that game
give me a headache sometimes, bro.
Yeah, I mean the visuals of that game are like impeccable. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
and we're not even talking about 2, we're talking about 1. So and I actually liked the combat. I mean, I don't know, like some people hated it. I actually loved the fact that it felt visceral, and it felt like every swing of the sword or everything else just felt so much more impactful. And if you screwed up, you damn well knew it you did. But that's what I go and say. Like, we do have value over here, but also we're talking about a $1 trillion company, and Sony's going backwards. And I played on PlayStation 1 and 2 4 years. And I am concerned before your trophies, okay, which came from achievements from the 360, your trophies now, give credit where credit's due. It's not that hard. You don't have to sit there and love it. You like trophies better? Sure. But achievements have been around for a long time, and it's not a trophy, but it's an achievement. And you get more gamer score, which some people look at that. More people look at that and say, I feel like, I beat more and more games. I feel like I get value, at least in one aspect, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we look at things and we say, can we be better? You know what I mean? Can we be better in the eyes, especially now in the community? I don't care about that. My achievements, I mean, there's people that are PlayStation gamers that have supposed PlayStation gamers, I should say, that have better achievements than me. I play what I like. I don't care. I don't care if you like it or not. And that's where, like, we're at a cusp of individuality that certain gaming companies, actually like nurture and say, you know what, if you want to play a PAL world, which I tried it, not my jam. I mean, people say it's Pokemon. I say, nah, it's like a survival game. That's me. I don't want that. I didn't play the Fallouts in the survival mode. I want to play a game. I want to enjoy it. Are there going to be cinematics? Sure. But at the same time, like, you go and cancel Twisted Metal, and I'm like, but you just had a TV show come out that was actually pretty good. You've already went to the second season.
Look at the optics, though. They're also charging you more online.
Yeah. Think
about that. It's a lot.
I mean, we understand. Like, what is somebody else going to say? Inflation. Well, inflation has nothing to do with gaming. Inflation has to do with what your choices are of what you think is right. For politics, which sucks. But that's up to you. We're not going there. I'm talking gaming in general. And the one thing I'll look at is say, okay, they raised the price a little bit for Game Pass Ultimate. All right. But they haven't said nothing yet. Now, do I expect it to be raised at some point? Sure. They're looking at Netflix about to raise the price again. And they want to see what happens. But at the same time, they do want to still sell consoles. And you look at PlayStation, you don't have a roadmap right now. You have a void. A void.
Right now they have a settling point, and that's April of 2025.
But it's a void, okay? And the void, I mean, I do, like, comic-wise and not necessarily movie-wise. They don't do good. They could do good with TV shows. Like, I'm looking forward to Cobra Kai. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they do good with TV shows. They do not do that great with Marvel IPs, especially. Like Venom, I mean, Hardy's good as Venom, but is it like some kind of like leap? No. They are losing money so bad that I'm concerned that PlayStation won't be there, and that's not what I want. I want a true competition. And when you look at $10 billion lost, that's a problem. And we're going to the end of the fiscal year. That's a problem. All these litigations that are going involved with them, they opened the door themselves by fighting Microsoft, who's a $3 trillion company. Why would you fight it? I mean, Epic had a leg to stand on. They fought Apple, okay? And technically they won in a way. All right? But they also had who backing them? Microsoft. Microsoft plays a different game than y'all think. They play, we're going to be the person that says, hey, like, you know, like, we're going to talk about this because you guys are pissed off about it. But also, hey, like, we got to do our thing. Like, we have a fiduciary duty to our shareholders. Sony just says, if it's bad, we don't say a damn word. And that's what's starting to become prevalent because of social media, because of what we see ourselves, and we bring our own opinions into it. And that's why these 900 layoffs, nobody's saying a damn word. And we brought up Geoff because he's supposed to be that dude. You know, ambassador, this and that. And that's the problem. You can't look to them. But I don't see even the dudes that I follow saying anything about this. This is concerning because if it's Nintendo and Xbox is not going anywhere. I don't care what you tell me. They have invested billions upon billions of dollars to buy companies. And you're going to sit here and tell me that they're worried about what everybody else is doing. No, they're worried about themselves. And they're worried about their image. Sony's worried about the money involved. And that's the problem. And that's where I go and say, you bought a PSVR 2? Well, it sucks to suck, huh? Because the MetaQuest 3 is like killing it right now. I'm just saying. And guess what? Everybody ignores the fact that AR part of it is the partnership with Microsoft. Everybody ignores that. Look at it. They have an AR aspect to the Quest 3. Think about that. You have an Apple, and you had Mark Zuckerberg coming out and be like, yeah, you guys ain't got ish on this, and you're charging like way more. So what are we talking about here? These companies need to compete for mind share, not just actual money. And that's where Sony's an influx, because they don't understand the mind share part. They just want the money.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, listen, at the end of the day, folks, look, we're at the 2-hour mark. I don't want to hold everybody up on a Friday. So what I'm going to do is this. Obviously, the show was advertised to talk about Hell Jumpers, which is ODST. I'm going to take that. I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to use that as a talking point for Monday. I'm going to change the thumbnail, obviously, and I'm going to change the title and add the Geoff Keighley stuff. So if you're here and you're waiting for that, apologies. When you have a panel this big and you have so many amazing points, you want to give people an opportunity not to be cut short. And we still got to get the fuzzy. But before we get the fuzzy, I got to thank a very generous donor. He has dropped a $50 super chat, which is just madness. That is crazy.
Yeah,
and that comes the way
Are we
of
supposed
Lotus.
to undress, or what's happening?
It's definitely got to be the tie for sure. No doubt about that. Lotus Spirit, they, them, says this after dropping a very whopping generous $50 super chat. He says, just for good measure, I enjoyed stopping by and I got to run. Well, dude, that is, again, thank you for the generosity. That is a lot of money, and we are incredibly humbled and grateful for that. But Fuzzy, let's get into this, because you have given Sony the business, as most of us should, and most of us have, right? That's it. It is a fact. It is something that we're dealing with. But the topic at hand, what are your thoughts as to what everyone has said so far?
Oh, everybody's definitely hit on all cylinders as far as the points they've made in regards to Sony kind of missing the opportunity to kind of grab hold and move forward with, putting games on multiple platforms and things like that. I think at one point, a lot of us thought that, maybe Sony needed another gaming enthusiast like your Sean Layden to kind of head the realm to get them on track. But who knew that it would take somebody that's more of the calculator or the bean counter kind of guy, the guy that, signs the checks and keeps, all the balance books and things to kind of run Sony to move them forward as far as, day and date on PC, which I really still don't understand why they didn't see that as a better potential sooner, considering like a lot of the titles that they did put on Steam finally didn't have quite the same enthusiasm at the launch time. That's 4 years down the road or even a year down the road. The best time to strike is when your marketing is at full force for that, not just for the console, but it's on TV or on sporting event arenas or on public transportation in areas. When you're spending that kind of money, it's the best time to strike, to also have that PC crowd, or if you want to have it on mobile, which it seems like now, phones being what they are, they're capable of running some of these games. That would be the perfect time to move forward with having those games there. And then there are certain titles that you may not, hold close to the chest. Like, all right, God of War is your one that you're going to hold close to the chest along with your Last of Us. But considering things like Days Gone wasn't necessarily the killer app that they hoped for in comparison to some other ones like Horizon and stuff like that, maybe that one goes over to Xbox or Nintendo or something. So I think they'll eventually get on track to do things along those lines. But I think the first big step is to go ahead and do day and date, not just for games as a service, but their first party titles, because that's when everybody's talking about that title. That's when it's in the news cycle. It's on social media. It's trending. You want to have everybody that may not want to go out there and spend $500 on your console, but is willing to spend $70 on the software. And I think that's where they need to, capitalize, wholeheartedly on that. The other things that seem that like we always talk about Xbox stepping on rakes. This is one where I feel like PlayStation stepped on a rake with the cancellation of Twisted Metal. You just had a TV series, and that would have been the perfect time to have a game that kind of, while people are talking about the TV series and, you know, a lot of people are in the nostalgia, you know, cloud as far as, oh, I remember those games. I really like those games. Yeah, that's the time you want to release that games as a service, which I get it. They've probably dumped a ton of money and a ton of time into it, but it seems like it's a bigger waste to not move that forward. Even if it flops, like you're better off shooting your shot than not shooting at all to find out if it would have worked. Or that maybe, like a lot of games as a service have shown over the years, sometimes your initial shot is not the greatest, and it takes time to kind of work on it. Destiny is a perfect example. Who remembers vanilla Destiny? Like, that was the worst dog pile in the face of the earth. I mean, sure, it had some good points as far as like there was a little bit of lore there. There was great gun mechanics, but the story was there. Like, you finished it in a certain amount of time, and there wasn't much else to do after that. And they had to keep on going back, adding more things as far as more missions and things along those lines. So if you have something like, however far they made it on factions, put it out there. At least see what the reception is before you kill it all together, because you spent hundreds of millions of dollars as far as paying for staff and work and time and effort into it. Get at least something, or at least some feedback to know that, yeah, maybe this part of it sucked to the ones that poo-pooed on it over at Bungie, but overall our fans like this aspect. It feels like, you know, what a lot of people love in the Division when it came to the survival mode. A lot of people love that mode, and then what does Ubisoft do? They go ahead and not put something like that in the next game, and people wonder why it didn't do as well or doesn't have the staying power. So if factions had that, like the thing that a lot of people have been looking for, that could have been the thing to keep on building on. The same thing when you look at the game that was a scam. Was it The Day After? There's a niche out there that people are starving for. Like a game that was clearly a scam, and people were still interested enough to want to play even after they found out it was a scam. It's like there's a void in the industry that instead of canceling factions, it should have been like, you know what, it's an early access. That would have been your better bet than to just say, you know what, $100 million in the toilet. You know, I don't know, but I'm not the one writing checks or in that CEO or COO position. So what do I know? But I think it would be better to take that kind of loss and put something out there than to not put anything out there at all. I think you at least could get some return as opposed to zero return type of thing. But hopefully, you know, Hiroki Totoki, you know, maybe him staying there longer instead of them. Like I always used to joke about, you know, maybe Bobby Kotick would be a good fit to kind of run things over there. But no, maybe keeping Hiroki Totoki over there might be the best bet to kind of get them moving forward, get that where they'll be able to capitalize on the PC market, which is bigger than the console market by a long margin. So if you're capitalized at like 200 million consoles roughly every generation, there's like 3 to 5 times that in the PC space that is more on the consumer end of things as opposed to worrying about pirating. And usually the pirating aspect comes from the fact that it's something that's either no longer available, or it's considered too high of a price in comparison. But even those things, like piracy is always going to exist. So if you're worried about piracy, you might as well not even be in the business for retail at all. But in the grand scheme of things, I think now they're going to probably start moving in the right direction. The one thing I don't want to hear more about or see more of, which is inevitable to some extent, is going to be more layoffs, more closures, more things like that. Like,
yes,
they've already closed, a few studios that I was hoping that they would have kept around, even though, yes, I crapped on Drive Club because they had a terrible launch a year after the delay. It didn't work online for like a couple of months after its release. And it just seemed like they didn't know what they were doing. But had they stuck around with it, who knows? Maybe Horizon would have that much more competition out there as far as like for Forza Horizon. it's the go-to for arcade racers right now. But if Drive Club stuck around for a Drive Club 2, maybe we would have a little bit more that we could, have focus on, like group racing. Like there's clubs and things like that in Forza Horizon, but they're more so just there as opposed to having actual functionality. Drive Club made it where a club or your group was functional because you were racing against other groups and things. So I don't know. I just hope Sony kind of figures things out for the most part. But, right now they need to stick to some of these things before up and canceling them, especially if they're at least closer to the finish line than, being just a in pre-production kind of deal. So we'll see where they go from here.
It's a shame because, like I said, if you're asking the community what we want, right? If you're asking me specifically, when I heard Twisted Metal was canceled, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I gave you what my blueprint would look like. The Last of Us. Was The Last of Us Online going to be something I play every day? No. Would I have played it? Yes. I played it sparingly when it was on the PlayStation back in the days. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I didn't talk to anybody, but I played it. Did I play it extensively? No. Would I play it now? Yes. Those are two monster first-party IPs that weren't even given a chance. That, to me, is madness.
Even the Spider-Verse thing that was kind of like Spider-Verse.
That sounded so good. Yes.
That would have been an easy to
multiplayer
monetize
Spider-Man game by Insomniac Games. Yes, please. And you know what? Look, I'm not trying to make money for Sony, but again, if I'm a Spider-Man fan, I'm a comic book guy. I would have went out and bought skins to swing around the city and help other Spider-Men. It could have been a Spider-Verse kind of a situation. It's a W is written on the wall, but that's gone. Look, at the end of the day, folks, this was amazing. Again, not just because everyone had incredible pieces of opinions to put out there. We got a collective of gamers from every corner of the world, thanks because we have obviously local all the way from Africa here, but we have different opinions. We didn't agree. No one poked anybody in the eye. Or insulted anyone.
That's because I'm not close enough. I would have poked you in the eye. I'm just saying, if we're on the same table, like kind of funny, me and you would be fighting right now. But it's cool. It's cool.
Oh well, listen. Maybe at one point we could wrestle. I don't know, but I would say I think you're gonna win. I'm old, so you're definitely gonna win. But listen, I threw the link in the chat for both Loke and Ham Solo here, and I do want people to kind of check out their stuff because obviously the whole point of having people on here, bringing different cultures and voices and opinions is not to sell Double Barrel Gaming. You're here already. And I and Mrs. Boom humbly appreciate that. It is to showcase others, bring other voices into your weekly listening. So I'm going to, once again, while the chat is here and we still have almost 600 people here, I'm going to throw the link for their YouTube channel in there. I ask that you check it out. Maybe you enjoyed what you heard today. Maybe this is the first time, because Ham has been here before. Maybe you've never heard of Loke 7. I'd like you to check him out because obviously he has great opinions. They're honest.
Stop it, Boom. Cut the cap.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen.
He has opinions. You could have said that. He has
oh, my goodness. Okay.
Up,
well,
man.
listen.
Thank you, Boom. I think I got like 15 new followers on Twitter.
Thank you good. So excellent. You should.
I've tried to follow back everyone that I could, and I will continue to do the same. Thank you so much.
No. Well, let's get to your outro, please. While you're here, and obviously I know you got some important stuff going on in the background. Let's get you out of here first. Where could people reach out to you if they want to strike up a conversation on social media? And more importantly, where could people check out the YouTube channel?
All right. So just to start it off, yes, I am in Africa, in the country named Mozambique. Africa is not a country.
Wakanda, Texas. Cut the cap. Wakanda, Texas. We've been telling. I mean, you told me when I first met you, bruh, that you Central Time just like your boy.
Someone mute this guy, please. For the love of Christ, mute him. All right. So it's a country called Mozambique. Africa is not a country. There's lots of countries in there, and there's places other than Egypt. So just look it up. It's called Mozambique. It's a nice place. That's where I am. You can find me on Twitter. It's LLOUCK7, no space. You can find me on Xbox. You can find me on PlayStation. I do have a Steam account, but I only play single player most of the time. If I'm being honest, I'm very much your Sony pony cliche. I love single player. I didn't play Power World. I still haven't played Helldivers. You can find me on, like I said, on those platforms. On YouTube, it's TSWS Gaming. On Fridays, we'll do in how many hours? In about 4 hours, we're going to do Bull Sitting, which is our Friday show.
Yep.
Where we usually talk about news, just like you guys do here on Double Barrel Gaming. And we also have guests. Uso Vinny is coming through this week, for anyone that knows him on TwitTwat. Saturdays usually don't upload. We only do like a membership upload for the pre-show. On Sunday, I do a single podcast. Sometimes I have guests on, but most of the time it's just me talking about gaming, but nerdy stuff as well, like movies, comic books,
Awesome.
etc., etc. Sorry?
No, I said awesome. That's good. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Monday, it's the crossover on TSWS Gaming. Ham Solo and K Mega do a gaming podcast where they talk about, usually it's like they switch like each week. 1 week's on TSWS, the other week's on K Mega's channel. I think most of the people in the chat know who K Mega is. Tuesdays, me and Ham do the lowdown where we talk about gaming, but it gets kind of grimy. All right, if you don't if you like stuff off the cuff and just like all over the place, then
y'all want to see me dot Loke's eye? Come see us on Tuesday.
All right,
Oh,
all right,
right there, bro. Right there.
Because we're guessing. On Wednesdays, Mr. Ham Solo does what's it called? The 2-player podcast, right?
Yeah, 2-player podcast with Matt Likes Games, but that's on Matt's channel. And then Thursday, I do Behind Them Sticks.
Indeed, that's your interview show. Yes,
sir.
Well, Loke, obviously you're going to come back when you get the time. Congratulations on the potential move. Hopefully everything does work out, and that you do get into the city as you were, you were telling us. And
I'm gonna be clapping cheeks on Tekken 8. Anyone wants to smoke? Anyone that wants to smoke on Tekken 8, April 5th, I'll be in the city and I'll have more time.
All right,
whooping asses everywhere.
I love it.
DMs are open. Bring it.
I love the slander, brother. It was great to have you here. You're definitely coming back.
Thank
Congratulations once again, and love the work that you're doing in the community. Good stuff as always. Ham Solo, let's sell your brand, brother. I dropped the link in the chat. TSWS Gaming. You should be subscribed. If you're not, subscribe to this man, and I should say this pair of men. Talk about it, brother. Where can people find you on social media, but more importantly, where they can subscribe?
Yeah, I mean, Loke pretty much did all the heavy lifting right there. He told us you can find us over on TSWS Gaming. What I'll do real quick is I'll just let you guys know what I have going on for Behind Them Sticks here in the near future. I got Innate coming on here soon. Crispy Bomb's gonna be showing out on camera, so come through, check that out here in the near future. I got Link coming through soon. Uso Vinny is going to be coming by talking about his credentials and background and whatnot. That will be dope. I'm excited because once I have Crispy Bomb on here, that means I had this whole panel on Behind. Let's go. I'm good.
All right. Well, listen, Ham. Great to have you back.
Sorry. I just want to cut you off one more time. Shiva Army Bread says, but they say Egyptians are not African. Shiva based. That's all I will say about that.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, Army Brat, welcome to the program. His name I haven't seen before, so of course, hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. To come back and obviously hit the like button, and if you liked it, maybe you can subscribe. Big Cloud, I just threw your link in there. It's been a while since you've been on here, but obviously you've been still doing the rounds. You're still doing the community work on your YouTube channel. Please let everyone in the chat, which again, still 500 people here. Let them know where they can subscribe, and more importantly, they can find you on social media.
Yeah, no, it was good to be back. Good to see you. It's been a while, long time. So good to chop
Yes.
up with you and Crispy, and of course, it's always a pleasure to talk to Fuzzy. Solo, I'm going to see him a lot more. So he works with me a lot, that. But shout out to Solo, good people right there. And of course, Luke, good to see you.
See you at
No, you guys
PAX.
find me? Yes, sir. So that's first thing, you're gonna see me at PAX, but lordsofgaming.net is where you'll find me, writing everything that nature. My YouTube channel is Big Cloud Gaming. You can find me there. I dropped 2 videos on this industry, change. You guys want to check that out. Something that PlayStation gamers are afraid to talk about, you see me actually talking about. So if you guys want to hear me out there, you can check it there. You can also follow me on Twitter, same thing, Big Cloud Gaming. Same logo, even though a lot of things are going to be changing, so to speak, as PlayStation's changing, Big Cloud's changing, so to speak. So anyway, I'll just leave that there. But, I have a show later on today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys want to pull up there, I'll be live. And it's a lot to go over, man. It's an interesting week, crazy week, actually. Probably one of the craziest weeks we've had in a long time. But without further ado, man, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. You guys be safe. Y'all be blessed. Actually, go play some games. Do not play Twitter. Do not sit in Twitter Spaces, please. So go play your games. Enjoy the hobby, please.
Halo Infinite's calling my name. I definitely got to get back to that. Crispy Bomb, let's tell you, brand brother, where can people find you on social media, potentially strike up a conversation? And what else you got going on, kind sir?
Well, I mean, Ham already said it. Shut up. Bit, you showed up at the right time, bro. I'm just saying. You need some truth involved. Like, let's be honest here. So that's what I'll give you at the end of the day. At Crispybomb on Twitter, Crispybomb28, Xbox Live. Find me on Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Fridays, and we'll see you on Ham Show. Apparently I'm forced to be on camera. So you're gonna see those.
Get on camera.
You're gonna see those Italian hands up in the. I speak with my hands.
Hopefully you're not doing this like Loke was doing earlier.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Service this.
Messy. Love y'all and be safe, be well, be awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And last and no way least, folks, the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. Look no further than Fuzzy Belvedere. Obviously, he's a part of many podcasts, but specifically for Double Barrel Gaming, he joins us each and every Friday morning and Monday afternoon on those podcasts. Brother, sell your brand, though, because we want to get you to at least 500 subscribers. Tell people where they can subscribe to that YouTube channel and, more importantly, follow you on social media.
Oh, just want to thank you for having me on. It's always awesome being on here with you guys. Awesome special guest today, and having Big Cloud return. This was like the perfect culmination, having Ham, Loke, Crispy, and yourself. Man, this was like a great show to just dive into the industry, between the layoffs and whatnot, and where PlayStation's going and all that stuff. But man, for those that love hearing my rambles and rants on anything gaming, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on YouTube. Just search Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word. You can also find me later on tonight on FS or on Fun Speculations channel for Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel for the Chop podcast. And then on Sunday, I'll be making an appearance on the Pixel Echoes with 3-Bit this Sunday. And then look forward to seeing you guys here hopefully next Monday afternoon for Xbox Lunch Break Special. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yes, and once again, apologies, folks, for not doing the ODST story. We're going to be talking about Toys for Bob. I'm waiting for some background information of what exactly that means. Those two topics are going to be covered in full detail on Monday's Xbox Lunch Break Special. Real quick, we got some things to talk about because I don't know Toys for Bob, they're indies now. They're independent. That's awesome. What does that mean for my Banjo-Kazooie? Well, shit, I don't know, but I'm going to definitely give them the smoke.
That's
one
the
way
good
or
thing,
the
though.
other.
That's a good thing. It's a good chance, 50-50 chance.
It is, absolutely. And real quick, we have Helava, who has been a channel member for 29 months, but doesn't say anything. Well, first of all, thank you for the outstanding continued generosity. And of course, thank you for being here as always. Folks, look, a big thank you to all of the outstanding channel memberships that we have gotten today, people that continue to help support the channel. Also, of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats. They allow for Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. Last year, we gave over $3,000 away in a couple shows. This year, we're up in the ante. Our Christmas show, which is the end of the year, Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, we gave away $1,500 in 2 hours. Mrs. Boom came to me once again, as she does, and said, listen, that was a successful show. We helped up a lot of people during the holidays, something that we enjoy doing. Folks, I'm making the announcement right now. We've done the finances. We've looked at the numbers. We are going to give away this December $2,000 in 2 hours.
Wow.
We're going to give $1,000 away an hour. It's the first time we've ever done that. This is thanks to Mrs. Boom. She looked at the finances. She said, we want to give back further because of some of the stories that we heard behind the scenes of some of the people that won. It touched us. And we said, you know what? We're going to be better. We're going to do more. And we're going to give away $2,000 this Christmas show. It's the most money we've ever given away ever. So we have now moved upwards of $3,500 that we're going to give away this year. And that's all thanks to the generosity of this community that continues to support us. And we love giving back. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.